Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the full moon Sagittarius lunar eclipse astrology video. My name is Gobind and this is your channel for grace. Thank you guys so much for watching the replay of this video. And those of you guys that are here with me when I'm premiering it, I am actually in the chat hanging out with you guys. So if you have questions, let me know as this video goes on. I am still out of town, so I don't have powerful enough Wi-Fi to actually go live, even though I wish I could. And I've been kind of just playing the catch-up game with work because I've been all over the place and doing like a million different things, which is really fun. But this is also a really powerful time, and I think it's affecting everyone. So I've just been allowing myself to take my time and do what I need to do in my own way. But I'm excited to share this information with you guys. Before I get into it, I've got some really cool stuff to talk about the full moon, and also the next new moon and the next full moon are actually powerful events that we'll like lightly cover, because I'll cover them more when they actually come up. But there's a lot going on, you guys. There's just a lot going on. I would love to invite you to join me for Aquarian Astrology Level 1 course, Module 2, which is going to be premiering on June 16th in a Zoom webinar, where you get to watch me live, do the class live, and you get to ask questions live. After that, there will be a replay that you can also purchase. The class is $33, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm running an astrology course, basically a level 1 astrology course. So module 1 has already been uploaded. It's available for purchase, and it is all about the basics of astrology. And for module 2, we will be covering the sun, the equinoxes, the solstices, the sun in the 12 houses, the sun in the 12 signs, and also we're going to talk about the rising sign. We're going to talk about a little bit of sacred geometry as well. And yeah, we're just going to have fun. Like these classes will dive deep into astrology and will help you to understand and learn to read your own chart, and also read maybe someone else's chart eventually. So I'm excited for that. That's happening in like couple weeks or something. Not even, yeah, a couple weeks, pretty much. Whoa. I also have these really cool handouts that you can print out and you can make your own little binder and stuff. I think that's fun anyways. I would love that. And also I'm going to be doing the summer webinar 2020 on June, what day is that happening on? June 25th, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but definitely check the link in the description. I'm like losing track of the dates here. Aren't you guys too? But I'm going to cover the astrology of the next 3 months. So basically for the summer, 3 months of summer season, and there's a lot happening. We can already see it. This eclipse season that we're going into is actually going to be a huge part of what's happening and how it's going to be affecting us for the next 3 months, the next 6 months actually, but we'll cover the 3 months. And it's really important to know what's happening so that you can have that better idea of where to navigate your life. Okay, let's get into this astrology, because I'm really excited. So if you're here in the chat, thank you and welcome. And let us begin by, the first thing I want to talk to you guys is the full moon lunar eclipse, but actually the Sabian symbols. So I've got this book called The Zodiac by Degrees, and it's all about the Sabian symbols. So the Sabian symbols, it's sort of like, they're basically symbols that represent the energy of a certain degree of a certain sign. So what I'm doing, that was the dryer. So what I'm doing with these symbols is giving you a little bit of a taste of what this moon, the energy of this moon represents, and it's kind of crazy. But here we go. So this moon is actually happening at 15 degrees of Sagittarius. It is, the sun is opposing the moon. That's how you know it's a full moon. They're both at 15 degrees. So I'm gonna read to you the one about the moon, and then we're gonna read to you the degree of the sun. So the moon is at 16 degrees of Sagittarius. And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this eclipse, but usually on lunar eclipses, the moon turns red or like pinkish, which is really cool. All right, where are you at, Sagittarius? Here we go, 15 degrees of Sagittarius. Okay, this is the Sabian symbol for the moon. In an amateur production of The Pirates of Penzance, that's a play or something, the pirate king gets carried away and sets fire to the admiral's plywood galleon. So this is what the book says it means. I'm reading from this book. This is about the ragged edge between art and life. This is about playing a role to the hilt versus stepping outside of a boring scene and treating it like a shabby two-dimensional construct. Don't, in parentheses, don't buy into conventional reality, but see life as a surrealistic fantasy that one can make up as one goes along. I'm going to explain this when I'm done reading it, but just hang in there with me. It's kind of crazy. There's keywords here that are important that will help you understand what's happening right now in the world. This is about choosing how much of oneself to invest in a scene, going overboard versus bailing out. This is about playing out a fantasy role with gusto, yet privately considering it an empty spectacle. This is about throwing oneself into something with rash abandon versus watching oneself detachedly as if from above, steering up a lifeless scene. This is incendiary statements, self-indulgently destructive. This is the funniest one. Balls of fire who overwhelm people with their extravagant energy, and thrill seekers who identify with their passionate impulses rather than their social personas. So there's a couple of things in there, the keywords, so passionate impulses, fantasy, detached, don't buy into conventional reality. There's lots of things here that point towards a vision of like seeing the world through the eyes of deception in a way. And this is a little bit of, this is the Sagittarius energy at 15 degrees, but the south node being in Sagittarius is going to play a really important role, and you'll see in a moment. The next Sabian symbol that we're going to look at is the Gemini sun. Because at the opposite end of this opposition, we have the sun at 15 degrees of Gemini. And the truth is that the sun, the moon reflects the light of the sun during a full moon. So we have to remember that there's a dynamic here going on. It's not just the moon, it's the moon and the sun, and the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. So what's 15 degrees of Gemini? This is the Sabian symbol, a soapbox orator, harangues a crowd. I don't even know what that word means. I should probably look it up. But here's what the book representation of this, okay? This is attacking misrepresentations and lies, pointing out overlooked facts that crack open the conventional worldview, thinking outside the box. Yes, I'm looking at you straight in the camera while I say these things. Bracing freshness of viewpoint, deep compassion for the human condition, hidden beneath a stream of chatter. That's Gemini. Verbalizing a problem and offering inventive solutions, taking one's ideas to the street. Propagandists. Guerrillas in the culture wars. Whoa. Stirring things up, radicalism, body or topical humor, seeing the funny, surrealistic side of modern life, zany characters, being on the fringe because one is put there versus valuing ideas because they are on the fringe, crackpot theories, trusting one's first thoughts versus failing to develop or test one's ideas, standing by one's truths regardless of the consequences, may suffer persecution. This is insane. What this book, what these two symbols represent is like what's going on right now in the world. So I had to read that to you because I thought we're not, like, astrologers are not making this stuff up. This stuff has been predicted. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. What's happening right now has been predicted, and we are witnessing history changing, a huge shift. I'm gonna switch over to the chart. Actually, first, I'm going to talk a little bit about the moon. So basically, this and I'm so relaxed right now. I love this. This full moon lunar eclipse is the first of 3 eclipses that we're having. So this is a powerful eclipse season that we're about to enter. But we have entered already. Today is the day. Today is the day. We have a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, a new moon solar eclipse in Cancer in 2 weeks, and a full moon, then another full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn after that. So this eclipse today is bringing to light what is really going on in the world right now, which I'm going to talk about in a second. The next solar eclipse is about seeing the truth and realigning our hearts. And then the last one, the third one, is about looking back at the old world and realizing that big change is coming. I mean, it hitting you. We know big change is coming, but I think it has, for a lot of us, it hasn't hit us. Like, we haven't yet, like, integrated it and, like, felt it, you know? We're all just kind of lost right now. Like, oh, which side should I take? I don't know. But I think it's going to finally hit us at the end of this eclipse season, what's really going on. And basically, Mars in Aries. Mars will move into Aries soon, in June. And it's going to activate this desire to take action. And Aries is the energy of the warrior. He's the one, it's an impulsive energy. It's fiery. It's very fiery and it's very courageous. Sometimes it doesn't think. And that's the truth. So it's about the truth setting in that the world will never go back to what it once was. Sagittarius, so if we go back and talk about this specific eclipse that's happening right now, Sagittarius is about its expanding energy. Sagittarius wants more. It's like it can never get enough. But when we have the South Node in Sagittarius with the full moon, it is about a false belief. It's not with the North Node, it's with the South Node. And the South Node is the karma. It's the things that need to get worked out. It's the illusions, right? It's the things that confuse us because they make us think that that's what we're supposed to be doing, but we're not. We're supposed to be focusing on the North Node. So when we have that South Node in Sagittarius with the full moon, it is about this false belief that we actually are expanding right now in the sense of, like, the collective. And I'll explain what that means. South Node Sagittarius restricts expansion. It restricts travel. It restricts our ability to see clearly. We will be bombarded with images and beliefs coming from all directions, and we won't know who to trust. This full moon is bringing all of that to light, because remember, the moon reflects the light. It's saying, look at the truth of what's happening. See behind the veil of the South Node. There is more than meets the eye. And then when you look at the opposite end of the spectrum, where the sun is, that's where the North Node is in Gemini. That is about bringing the focus back to us. The North Node wants us to focus on ourselves, on our individual selves, on smaller groups, smaller communities. What's happening right now is that we are getting lost in the chaos, lost in the South Node. And we don't see it because it is so charged with emotion, but it's obvious because it's a full moon. And the full moon is all about emotions, right? So belief systems are supercharged with emotion. And the moon is bringing up these fears, everyone's fears. It's bringing up unresolved subconscious emotions. And the South Node tends to bring out those karmic lessons that need to be released. So this is kind of a gnarly moon. it tends to bring up problems that have yet to get worked through. It brings up the past. But the problem is that when we get too focused on the South Node, which is what's happening right now in the world, what's happening right now is a manifestation of us being stuck in the South Node. And this is something that applies to each one of our natal charts as well. When we focus too much on the South Node, we forget that it's not where we should stay. We know it. It feels like, doesn't the time right now feel like we've been here before? And like I hear a lot of people saying that, like we've been here before. That things should be different. We've been here before. Well, yeah, the point, but that's the South Node. That mentality is coming from the South Node. And so it's creating a polarity on top of a polarity and separating people and creating conflicts where conflicts don't need to be. So in essence, this lunar eclipse is saying, look at the bigger picture of what is going on, but don't get swayed by those false beliefs. Instead, go find the facts of the situation, North Node. We cannot take anything at face value right now. We need to dig deeper. We need to be the detective, which is that mercurial energy, and find our own truth. We can't just go with what is being said collectively. We must be smarter than that. And that is that Gemini North Node. To see this in a different way, we have to remember that the moon reflects the light of the sun. So yes, the moon is with the South Node for this eclipse, and that brings to light everything that we're basically, everything that we basically have to move away from, not towards. It's like, hello, this is not what we want. But the moon is reflecting the light of the sun, which is in Gemini with the North Node. So if we focus on the light, we will guide ourselves back to center, back towards the North Node, back towards where the light is actually coming from, and not a deception of where we think it's coming from. It's a trick. Right now there's a trick being played on everyone, and it's kind of creepy. So let me switch screens real quick. Thank you guys for being here. If you're in the chat, thank you. Say hello. So I just switched screens, so you should now be able to see the actual chart. And I'm going to go into the details a little bit of the actual astrology, but first I need to share the screen. So if you've never watched this video before, so I just kind of talk about it generally first, and then I go through the chart, and then I go through actually each of the individual signs, so make sure you stay till the end, because I will be telling you where this full moon is happening in your chart, based on your sun sign and your rising sign. So, here we are. This is the full moon chart. So the way that you know it's a full moon is obviously, like I said, the sun, the moon is opposed to the sun. You can see that right there. You can also see, and we'll talk about this a little bit too, that Venus is still right there with the sun. Remember, Venus had its inferior conjunction 2 days ago on June 3rd. There's the North Node. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got the moon and the South Node in Sagittarius. So this is a South Node lunar eclipse. And the moon is making this brighter. It's like, let's shine a light on what's happening in the world right now. The moon is full, but it's not just a full moon. It's a freaking eclipse. So let's make what's going on, let's make it a little bit more clear. In case you didn't know, this is what's happening. That's what the moon is saying. So that's the opposition. We have Mercury in Cancer. The significance of Mercury here right now is that he's going to go retrograde on June 18th. So actually before the next solar eclipse, the next eclipse, Mercury will go retrograde in Cancer. So that means that right now he's in shadow, which means that we are starting to feel the effect of the Mercury retrograde that's coming. Mercury basically right now in Cancer is asking us to humble ourselves, asking us to listen to our heart's desire. Emotionally, what do you want to be connected to? Fear or love, illusion or truth, false hope or the truth. And that's the key right there. Mercury in Cancer is about thinking with our heart and moving forward from our heart space, a place of love. Mercury is the mind, and it rules Gemini. So it being here, it just left Gemini. It just like zipped through the Gemini sign, but it's still ruled by Gemini. So it still feels connected to this whole Gemini energy. And so basically, when Mercury moves into a water sign, but not just any water sign, Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, this becomes about Christ consciousness. It's a higher mind that activates to guide your way of thinking. This aspect is the hope of this full moon, the Mercury in Cancer. If we can listen to that, we'll be able to navigate through whatever's coming up. So the other aspect that we're going to talk about is the Neptune conjunct Mars. They're not exactly conjunct. Mars will exactly conjunct Neptune in a few days, like I think next week. But Mars is in Pisces right now. He's about to move into Aries, which is its home sign, and the significance of that is that Mars is going to be in Aries for like 6 months, you guys. 6 months, because he's going to go retrograde in Aries. And I think the last time that happened was like in 1988. And there was some crazy stuff going down. If you look at what's going on in history, right, like you'll see that. You'll see the patterns that repeat, right? So basically, Mars's power is activating now with this full moon lunar eclipse. Why? Because Mars and Neptune, especially Mars, is at, you see this, is at 15 degrees. That means it's exactly aspecting the sun at 15 degrees and the moon at 15 degrees. And this is called a T-square. And T-squares create tension that need to be resolved. So what's happening here? What does this mean? Basically, this is about a change of perspective, a desire to fully express ourselves. It is about beginning to take action towards our collective destiny. However, Neptune is about dreams, but it's also about deception. And when it starts to get to the later degrees of Pisces, it becomes a stronger. It takes a hold of you stronger. So, and right now, basically, there's a lot of that going around. And I don't think people realize that that's what's happening. I think people they're lost. So in regards to the South Node that I described before, it's like these are the false beliefs. That Neptune is playing a role in that. So it's like we're even not just we're being deceived collectively, but we're also deceiving ourselves because we are not looking for the truth. We're getting stuck down here. But this is not the truth. This is an illusion. This is a false belief. Walk away. Walk away. Walk away. My little stick figures. It's strong, you guys. It's strong. So, because Mars is conjunct Neptune, what happens is that Mars, the planet of action and drive, who is known for being, the Aries warrior that is able to take action based off of courage and determination, is actually lost in the Pisces world of illusion, or the unknown, or the subconscious mind. You can't figure it out. It's the subconscious mind. It's symbols and dreams. So if you don't know where you're at, you're gonna feel lost. So what happens is that Mars, lost in this world, exactly T-squaring the nodes. It also in mutable energy. Gemini is mutable, Sagittarius is mutable, Pisces is mutable. And this T-square has been kind of happening. It's been going on. But it's exactly aspecting this full moon. That's why it's becoming stronger right now. What happens is that Mars begins acting out of fear, acting out of confusion, acting out of the subconscious fears and belief systems without checking the truth. It's kind of like seeing the warrior, sending the warrior out to fight on like psychedelics or something, or sending the warrior out to fight with a blindfold on. Somehow, we are taking action based on illusions and false beliefs. We're not seeing the whole truth. In fact, we are lost in Wonderland, where our worst fears become a reality, where we're being kind of come at from different directions, and these ideas and these fears, they get enlarged and expanded because of the energy of Jupiter that rules Sagittarius, and Pisces is just like, it's the sea. It's like it's the whole thing, the whole universe. The whole subconscious mind is huge, right? So instead of realizing that we need to go find the truth and move more towards the North Node, we just keep letting ourselves be taken down this path that leads away from where we're supposed to be going as a humanity, and as a collective. Something else that we need to look at is Neptune in Pisces, because this planet rules, Neptune rules television, it rules the media, it rules movies, etc., right? Like main media. Right now, Neptune is deceiving us. Neptune is using its power of deception to confuse us. It's natural. I mean, that's what Neptune does. It's because we need to go look, fish around for where we're at, and discover where we're at and get ourselves out of it. The subconscious fears come up so that they can be dealt with. So this deception is trying to confuse us, and with Mars, we're taking action based on false information. That's what's going on. The more we become aware of what is happening, the more likely we are to step out of this crazy wheel of, guess what? It's karmic, because it's South Node, and it's also, we're actually just walking into a trap. So here's what I want to do. If you're in my newsletter, you probably received. Let me switch back to me. So if you get my newsletter, you probably received a email from me about the Venus and Sun conjunction, the inferior conjunction. So I want to read to you I want to just read you that email that I wrote. I'm just going to read it. Because not everyone is on the newsletter, but you should definitely get on my newsletter. When you sign up, I send a weekly moon magic report, and then I also give you guys special emails like this when there's special astrological aspects that have a lot of meaning. Well, sorry, I feel a sneeze coming on. Excuse me. That have a lot of meaning, and that have a lot of importance in how they're affecting us collectively. So this is the email that I sent out. I think it was Wednesday, or I sent it out on Tuesday, but this conjunction happened on Wednesday. Literally, this is 2 days away. Like, it just happened. We're still in that energy. So what's going on is this. Okay, Venus is at the peak of its journey through the underworld. On June 3rd, she conjuncted the Sun and blasted us with the most powerful frequency of change and transformation. I'm sure you guys can feel it. It feels like the spirit of humanity is waking up, but people are being confronted with their biggest fears of their lives. Toxic relationships are ending and can no longer ignore what is right in front of us, which is the truth. The inferior conjunction with Venus and the Sun, as well as the full moon lunar eclipse that's happening today, is making a powerful alignment to 2 of the 4 royal stars in the sky. So behind the Sun, so right now the eclipses, it's Sun, Earth, Moon. The Earth is in between the Sun and the Moon. And the Earth is like not exactly blocking the Moon because it's not a total lunar eclipse, but it is in between, so it's there. When you go further into the universe, so what's behind the Sun, or what's behind the Sun and what's behind the Moon, this is what's going on. Behind the Sun on the east is the star Antares, and behind the Earth on the west, over here, is the star Aldebaran. Antares is in the constellation called Alpha Scorpii, like the Scorpio constellation, and it's actually the star that forms that is right at the center of the heart of the Scorpion. What does Scorpio represent? Well, first of all, it's ruled by Pluto. It represents death, change, transformation. So this star, the alignment of this star, represents going through death, rebirth, transformation, and profound change. That's on the side of the sun. On the side of the moon, Aldebaran is in the Taurus constellation. It is the eye of the bull, right? The eye of the bull. And what that star represents is movement into new life. You can think of that Uranus in Taurus, that represents a little bit of that, like eye of the bull. It's movement into new life. On top of this, the nodes, which are the nodes of the moon, are aligned with the galactic center point, which is the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. This black hole at the center of the galaxy is also the 9th dimension according to the Pleiades. It is what provides us with the information we need to center and usher in the Aquarian age. We are being blasted with galactic information star codes right now from all directions in the universe. It's like the help is coming, but we need to take it in. We're lost in the abyss. Like, we're lost in the world of Pisces in Wonderland, and we're not, like, we don't even know that we're in it. But there's somebody watching from above. Who's watching from above? Like, why are you in the game? Why are you in Jumanji? You know? It's kind of what it feels like. And why can't you get out? The truth is you can get out, but you're choosing not to, right? As a collective, this is what's happening. So we're being blasted, right, with this galactic information, star codes from all directions right now. And it does not surprise me to see how that's manifesting in society. So if you're someone that's tapped in, sensitive to the feelings, moods, and energies of others, you are probably overwhelmed right now. I know I am. It's overwhelming. It's exciting. It's actually exciting, but it's also really overwhelming because I feel the change coming, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, it's a lot. It's a lot. So you're probably feeling overwhelmed because it feels like there's a fire that's been set and it cannot be put out. And it's like getting hotter and hotter. The world is energetically on high alert. Our job as light workers and starseeds is not to freak out. It's not to lose it. It's not to go fight a fight that is an illusion. It is actually to anchor the light. We cannot get lost in the drama of it all. With Neptune in Pisces, there are a lot of hidden secrets. There's a lot that we're not seeing. So if you act based on those false beliefs of the South Node in Sagittarius, you're acting based on false beliefs. How do you know? You have to go find the truth. You have to go search for it. You can't just believe everything you hear. You can't be that gullible. I think you really have to stop being so gullible. That's the truth. We can't get lost in the drama of it all, especially with Neptune in Pisces. There are a lot of hidden secrets. So don't buy into the illusion that is trying to suck us in. We must stand strong like a mountain. And this is not about who's right or who's wrong. This is about a much bigger force that is trying to take control of our lives, and that force is called fear. So do not be afraid. Stay grounded, know yourself, and make informed decisions based on truth, not illusion. Trust your intuition about what feels right and what feels off. If something feels right, go find the truth. If something doesn't feel right, go find the truth. That's what I meant. North Node Gemini wants us to find the truth ourselves and to also focus on what is right in front of us, not out there. It's almost like the only thing we can really do right now is trust our intuition. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you watch Abraham Hicks, any videos of her, she talks about when you feel good, you feel happy, when you feel those like powerful, positive emotions, you're moving in the right direction. Basically, you could say you're moving towards the North Node. If you're feeling the negative emotions, anger, hate, fear, right? It's just like kind of going around. You're focusing on the wrong stuff. And that's just the truth. So what is your intuition telling you? Sagittarius South Node says, when everything outside of our control feels off, we must trust in our own ability to find the truth. The last 8-year cycle, since June of 2012, when the Mayan calendar ended, is ending right now. Do not repeat the lessons. Finish the cycle. We need to move on, right? We need to move on. It's time to move forward into the age of Aquarius. we are entering eclipse season, you guys, which means this will not ease up. This is not the maximum that we've seen. That's the truth. Like, it'll keep getting crazier and crazier, and you'll be like, oh my God, oh my God. Because right now it feels like we keep being hit with like, whoa, I can't believe that's happening. Whoa, I can't believe that's happening. But it's like the masses are just like getting swayed. Like, this reminds me of what's it called? I just got a vision of, you know, those currents in the ocean, and how a lot of fish and turtles and stuff will just get into that current, and that current will take them long distances and they don't have to do anything. So that's kind of what's going on. But a lot of people are riding the wrong current. It's taking them like right into a black hole, basically. So you have to choose the right current right now. It's about the frequency of who you are as a person, as an individual, as a being on this planet. It's about what you embody. That's how the change is actually going to happen. But the forces that be, they want us to lose control of ourselves. And that's what's happening. So I'm also going to be covering I mentioned it in the beginning, but I'm going to be covering the summer astrology on June 25th. And that will be a webinar, a Zoom webinar, so you can actually purchase that already. And then when we go live, you can join us for the live. So I hope to see you for that, and also for the astrology, the Aquarian Astrology Module 2, which is happening on June 16th. Before I go, I do want to go through all of the signs, the rising sign and the sun sign, and tell you where this full moon is happening in your chart, because this gives you a little bit of more accurate, like honing it down individually, how this is happening in your own personal life. We know what's happening in the collective, but what's happening in your own personal life. If you're in Aries, if you're in Aries or Aries rising, let me know in the chat. This moon is happening in your 9th house of spiritual integration. So this is seeing a lot of like going through your own belief systems and seeing, okay, what am I believing that I don't believe in anymore? How can I? It's almost like refreshing the screen or whatever, and you're like coming up with a, okay, I don't believe in that anymore. Like, here's what I believe in. It's all about your belief systems right now. For Taurus and Taurus rising, this is happening in your 8th house. So this is a big transformation of looking within and seeing, okay, what's not working in my life, and how can I end that? How can I stop that? What kind of rebirth am I going through right now? That's the question that you should be asking yourself, because you're definitely going through a rebirth in your own self. For Gemini rising, this is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So the rebirth is happening in your relationship life. Like everything, all your relationships, they're changing. But remember, this is like the 8-year cycle that's ending. So it's a big shift. Does this guy want to come in? Come on, mama. Come on, baby girl. Oh, it's okay. We're taking it casual here. So basically what's happening is like in the house of relationships. So all of your relationships are going through this like rebirth, and you're really, the clarity is like the light is shining on it, and you're like, wow, okay, that's what I need to fix. Okay, got it. But now it's time to like go and do the change. Cancer and Cancer rising, this is happening in your 6th house of work and being in the present moment. So this is about like, do you feel comfortable with where you're at in terms of like your everyday schedule, in terms of work too, but also in terms of like, do you feel grounded in your presence, like in your own presence? Are you comfortable with your own presence? Like, what rebirth is happening for you that's changing the perspective or helping you see the higher perspective of how you see your everyday life? That's for Cancer. For Leo and Leo rising, this is happening in your 5th house of creativity. So this is like a rebirth of your creative abilities. And how are you going to use them? You need to choose what you're going to do with that. You need to choose how to express your creativity right now in a way that's going to help, better the world, the collective. Creativity is something that helps us express our inner self and our inner feelings, and in a lot of ways being creative and manifesting things into the world gives you the ability to process and get rid of things that don't serve you, and then make space for new things as well. So for Virgo and Virgo rising, this is happening in your 4th house of the home. So in terms of home, there's a lot of changes going on. You're probably seeing like the rebirth that's happening at home is happening in terms of relationships, but also with your relationship to home in general. Like, how do you feel at home? That's what's changing right now. Libra and Libra rising, this is happening in your third house of communication. So you might be feeling uncomfortable communicating. You might be feeling like you can't speak. You might be feeling like there's, when you speak, you feel like maybe people are not believing you, or maybe you're not believing yourself. You're not sure how to communicate. So this is the rebirth that's happening. You need to stand your ground. You need to find how do you want to communicate? You need to get clear about that. And the 3rd house is ruled by Gemini. And so having Sagittarius right now with the South Node and this full moon in your 3rd house makes you that you're focusing on maybe the past, maybe speaking about the past issues. Maybe that's a good way for you to process what's happening, but it also might be taking away from your ability to like really reach for truth and for purpose in your life in terms of communication. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this is happening in your 2nd house of finances and values. So this is testing your world of finances, but it's also asking you, what do you value? What what do you believe in terms of like what's important to you in your life? And are you paying attention to those things? And are you changing what's not working to make it work for you in terms of money and making money and bringing money in, and also knowing what you stand for? Because our values are a powerful thing to know. And if you don't know what you value, it's like you're kind of like that feather that's like floating in the air. So that's what's happening for Scorpio. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this is happening in your 1st house of the self. So this is an identity crisis that you're going through. Like, are you aligned with the truth yourself? Are you yourself aligned with your own truth, or are you not? Are you stuck in the South Node? Right? Sagittarius will pull you back. That Sagittarius South Node will pull you back towards the past. So you can't focus on your past self. You have to focus on your future self. And that's why you're probably going through a powerful like identity shift and realizing like, okay, who am I? What am I doing here? What do I need to do? How do I show up with, my own being into the world? For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this is happening in your 12th house of the subconscious mind and the mystical, which means that you are dealing with a lot of subconscious things that are coming up that are needing to be processed. Because having a South Node transit through your 12th house is it's like the South Node empties the cup. And so it says you can refill it with whatever you want. But then right now you're in the process of like, oh my God, I see what's happening. I see what's going on. And how do I change so that what I'm focusing on is maybe more streamlined, or at least more organized in a way. Capricorn tends to kind of like that more organizational thing. Although you can't organize the subconscious mind, but it's really about seeing the unseen in your life, what patterns karmic from the past you've always done, uncovering that, shining a light on it, and then moving forward in a different direction with where you want and how you find healing in that. And then with Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this is happening in your 11th house of friends and sharing your gifts with the world. This is about basically like maybe you find that a lot of your relationships, a lot of the way that you network in life is really changing. A lot of the ways that you share your gifts with the world, like what you're sharing with the world in line with your belief systems, and do you even know what you believe in? And so if those things are not aligned, if you don't know what you believe in, then you're definitely not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Find what you believe in. Find like weed out the false belief systems in yourself, and then step into like truth for yourself and start to move forward in terms of your gifts and how you show up for the world, to help the world. That's the focus for Aquarius. And then for Pisces and Pisces rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So this is like a complete shift in career house. And also the 10th house is also about showing up in the world. So you might be feeling like, okay, maybe in the past I've done things a certain way. I've done this type of job. I've done this type of career for a really long time. But does that align with what I truly believe in? With what I value, with what is important for me? And so you can see, like when you go through the whole zodiac wheel, that everyone's having to question their belief systems in the area that this is happening, in the house that I just told you it's happening. So it's just some powerful stuff, and shifting, but a lot of eye-opening things. I think a lot of us are not ready to see the truth. I think a lot of us are a little bit afraid to see like what's really going on, and so it's easier to just jump into the void and be like, it's okay, like the current will take me. But to take a stand, to truly take a stand, that's harder. It's easy to just like go with what's going on, but to take a real, true, authentic stand, that's where it's at. And that's what I'm challenging you guys to do. So I love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Later tonight, I will be uploading a short and sweet, very powerful mini ceremony for you guys. I'm going to go to a park nearby and film it. I have my drum and my cards, and so I can't provide something live, but I'm still going to be there for you guys as best as I can. So I'll see you guys tonight. I don't know what time, most likely the same time as always, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, but just be on the lookout for the upload. And I will also premiere it so we can be in the chat together during that moment. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again next time for the new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. Ciao.